This is an introduction to the NexSys controllers from Lakewood Instruments. While these controllers have been on the market for a few years, their smart attributes deserve to be highlighted so you know what is possible. The topics will go over a brief overview, inputs and outputs, benefits of connections, building management system integration, data logging, graphs, and remote access, as well as support and availability from Lakewood Instruments. The NexSys controller works really well for cooling towers. In fact, it can control either one or two cooling towers per controller. It also can control up to 4 boilers per controller. In process needs, it can do all kinds of things using connectivity, pH, ORP, or an endless range of 4 to 20 milliamp inputs. All NexSys systems include a range of inputs and outputs as described. It also, right out of the box, has connectivity for BACnet, ModBus, and LonWorks building management systems, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. We also have historical graphs on board, as well as data that are easily downloaded or emailed for e-service reports or other use as well. There are remote communication options so that you can interact with this controller from a remote site. And also these controllers have touchscreen control and operations manuals right on board, as well as they come with Lakewood Instruments' excellent support. Inputs and outputs. As you can see from this diagram, all the inputs that are out into a process can interact with the NexSys controller through basically a daisy-chained twisted pair set of wires. That's different than having them wired directly into the controller. In terms of inputs, we can use up to 4 flow switches, up to 4 connectivity inputs, up to 2 each of pH and ORP inputs, up to 8 4 to 20 milliamp signals, and up to 4 water meters, so quite a good range of inputs. On the output side of things, a NexSys controller comes on board with 6 relay outputs, and it's expandable to a total of 10 relay outputs, 3 amps each. You can wire flow meters and flow switches directly into the terminal block inside the NexSys controller, very typical for water treatment controllers. However, there's more. This diagram is a little bit different. You can still see the same terminal block toward the left-hand side of the image, but there's also something called a digital input node or a smart node, and that allows you to wire things like flow meters, flow switches, and really all of the other inputs directly into these smart nodes. The node is a remotely located circuit board that processes the input signal. The controller connects via a twisted pair to the nodes, which means you can use a lot of inputs. And input sensors can be located far away from the controller. You just wire the sensor right to a smart node. That node can be up to 400 meters or 1,300 feet away from the controller itself. It gives you great flexibility to control multiple cooling towers or multiple boilers. This is a picture of a node. It's basically a small set of circuit boards, and this one happens to be a 4 to 20 milliamp input node. That has use for drum levels like echo pods. It can be used for corator inputs for corrosion racks. It can be used with traced chemistry, with pressure sensors, temperature sensors, chlorine sensors, all kinds of applications for a 4 to 20. You'll note in this process diagram for a typical cooling tower, you'll note across the top there are the gray squares which represent the input nodes, and you'll see with the solid lines how they are just basically daisy chained together. It means that you can have those input nodes anywhere in the physical system. They don't have to be right at the controller. Well, sure, it's nice if they're going to be right at the controller, but you can take process input from around the factory or around the plant. This comes into play if you're going to use one controller for 2 cooling towers rather, and you can see that you could put input nodes throughout the system, throughout the plant, and again, they can be up to 400 meters away from the NexSys controller. In fact, in this type of scenario, if those cooling towers were physically separated, you could have a second input display screen at the second control tower so that you could control the controller from either location in the plant. It's really quite powerful that way. Building management systems. This is something that is really great with the NexSys controller. It speaks BACnet, ModBus, and LonWorks right out of the box. And while being on a building management system may not do a lot for you as the water treater. It does a lot for your customer because the customers have these building management systems throughout their installations anyway. And this allows your water treatment controller to be an object in their system. That's a selling point for you, even though you may not be in their building management systems. This allows you to have a much more close relationship with your customer and build that loyalty so that you're adding more value. And we make that easy with the NexSys controller. And it happens standard right out of the box. In fact, recently we've done some updated firmware, and that allows this BACnet capability to be much more available than it had been in the past. This is a smart controller. It has data available. It downloads data from all of the sensors, inputs and outputs into spreadsheets that are emailable up to 3 recipients. So you can you can also set it up so that you are email notified of alarm status, and you can set that email up to be a text notification as well. So you can have great awareness from a remote location of what's in this controller. The touch of one button from the process screen gets you right to the graphing screens on the NexSys, which is brilliant. This allows you to see data trends over time. You can do that right there on the controller itself. And you can also connect through our 4G EasyWeb wireless system for remote access and control of all systems. So it gives you, as a water treater, a way to get to that controller without physically being at the location. Gives you great capability to find out what's happening on the site. Lakewood simplicity. These are touchscreen, simple, menu-driven, easy controllers to use. We've been making water treatment controllers for over 45 years, so we know how it works, and we can give you great support available by phone. The circuit boards are really first class. They don't fail. These machines are set up to last for a very long time in the field. They also have onboard help. I mean, each NexSys screen has a help screen available right there, so that in case you're confused one day, you want to make something happen, you're not sure how to do it, we know you don't carry a manual with you. So that help screen is right there on the controller. And as well as we have QR codes on these products as well as our other controllers, so that if you can just use your phone to scan the QR code, that's going to take you right to the manual on our website. So we try to make it very easy for you in the field. Additionally, with Lakewood, we've been in business since 1973, over 45 years. We are experts in connectivity control, in sensors, for pH, ORP, valves, all the related systems. We have a thorough understanding of cooling towers and boiler applications. Most importantly, and we're very proud of the fact that we are owned and manufactured in the United States. So this time, as well as any time, it's really great to know where your products are coming from. Further, we have short lead times. Most items that we sell ship within 2 days or less. Depending on how your system needs to be configured, it could be 2 to 3 days, but generally that's the longest that we have. We are focused on outstanding customer service and support. We know that our job is to make your job easier. So I hope you enjoyed this brief overview of the NexSys control platform. I'm sure that you have a lot of questions. We'd like to answer them, so get in touch with us when you can.